welcome to my very first Teaching Tuesday. I'm excited for this series. I thought that I would start rather with than a song or than chords. I might start with something actually even more basic than all of that, which is how to strum, and specifically how to hold your instrument for to set yourself up for success in your strumming. We'll get to some video tutorials coming up soon that have to do with the specific strum patterns, but this video is just going to show you how I get myself ready to strum in the first place. So for starters, I've got the body of my instrument. I'm going to put it up against my chest here, especially since I'm trying to fit myself in this little frame. I'm going to be up kind of here on the upper part of my torso. Feel free to have it more on your tummy if that feels good for you. Sometimes I balance it, I cross my legs and kind of balance it on my knee here. You just want to make sure that the back of the body is nice flush up against your body here. Okay, then I'm going to kind of bring my right hand around, because I am right-handed. Of course, it will be left if you are strumming the other way. But my strumming hand, I will say, I kind of tuck it into my elbow here nicely. Now this works out with the measurements of my forearm. This may be a little different for you. I want to just tuck it in a place where I can hold it and also come down on these strings right about where the body meets the neck. That's my ideal strumming position. Because when you think about it, if I zoom out, right about here is the middle point of the strings, right? The sound hole is here just to project that sound out. It's not like a guitar where we want to play over the sound hole to get a good sound. We want to strum here right about at the middle of the string, again, where that body meets the neck, right about the 12th fret, 12, 13, 14, somewhere in here. And then that sound hole is going to project the music really nicely for us. So for me, tucking it into my elbow puts my thumb here, my strummers here, right where they need to be. Now again, that may be an adjustment for you. If you have longer forearms or longer fingers, you might tuck it back a little bit, but I'm still gonna kind of use this elbow to hold my instrument here, especially if I don't have a strap like I don't right now. So that's my strumming hand. We'll come back to that in a moment. My chording hand, what I'm gonna do is take the nut here, that's this little white part between the neck and the headstock, and I'm going to balance it at the base knuckle of my index finger. And we'll get into chording on another Teaching Tuesday, but basically that's so that my fingers are free to move to the different chords without having to use my arm or my wrist or my elbow. In fact, I'm going to try to keep my elbow and my wrist pretty still and definitely very relaxed. More than anything, I want to make sure that that wrist doesn't start to inch forward. I should always have my wrist between my instrument and my body, never the instrument between the wrist and my body. Keep that back. Your fingers are going to be doing a lot of the work there. We'll get to those. We'll get to those chording fingers on another Teaching Tuesday. All right, let's come back to our strumming hand. Now, before I talk about what finger to strum with, because that's always a question, I want to just remind you of something, that you're strumming actually from your elbow. That's where you're going to be moving your arm. Your wrist isn't going to be moving, but it's kind of the conductor. That's where you're going to feel the down, up, down, up, down, up feel of that movement, of that strum. And then your fingers are just kind of along for the ride. They're in charge of the pattern itself, of where you hit the strings and where you don't. But whenever you're strumming, I'm always thinking of moving from that elbow, leading with the wrist, and then the fingers are just kind of following along pretty loosey-goosey, right? What you want to avoid is any kind of robot arm where your hand or arm are really kind of tensed up, nice and loose. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Now I'm exaggerating here. When I get to my strum, I'm probably not going to lift my wrist higher than the upper part of the body of my instrument, and it won't go down lower than the lower part of my instrument here, lower part of the body. Keep it pretty contained in here, but feel free when you're warming up to get really exaggerated about it so you can feel that elbow moving, feel your wrist as the conductor leading the charge, and your fingers just kind of following along behind it. Once you're feeling good about that, now let's talk about what fingers we strum with. I get this question a lot from my students, and I always give them their favorite answer. It depends. It depends on you. It depends on what feels comfortable for you. If you're brand new to strumming, I often recommend just starting with the pad of your thumb, going down. And then on my way up, I'm kind of going at it, getting just this corner part of my nail on the up strum. I'm not twisting my wrist or anything to get a full perpendicular nail up there. I'm just going down with the thumb and then kind of dragging it back over the strings on the way up. So it catches that corner of the nail at about a 45-degree angle. As you can hear, it gives a nice mellow sound here. If there's a song that has a little bit more oomph to it, or I want there to be a little bit of a brighter sound, I'll use the nail of my index finger. And again, I don't want to twist my wrist too much to do it. It doesn't have to go down at a perpendicular angle. What usually ends up happening is I hit it at about a 45-degree angle. So I'm going more this way with it, with the nail. And then coming up, I can either come up with the pad of that index finger if I just want to use the one finger. And that's kind of nice because the up strums are a little mellower anyway. Or I can go up with the thumb, just like I did with my thumb before, right? So I can go down with the index, up with my thumb. And there's just a little, again, not a twist of the wrist, but just a little rotation to get the angle that I want coming up. Make sure you can see that, right? Lastly, if I want to give a song a lot of energy or just not think too much about individual fingers, I will take all 4 fingers and strum down. They sort of flare out a little bit. Again, I'm exaggerating here, but this is kind of the general movement. And then again, up with those fingers. That gives a lot of contrast there between the power of the down strum and the softness of the up strum. So again, you might pair it with your thumb. Lots of options, right? So I really encourage you, especially as a new strummer, just to spend some time doing just that and feeling what feels good for your fingers, what sounds good to your ear, what feels manageable and natural, and something that you're not going to have to spend a lot of time thinking about, because you're going to have lots more to think about when you're playing a song. And it's fine to have sort of a default that you're working with at the beginning. Again, we're working a lot of new information in here when we try these different strum patterns, and certainly when we apply them to a song. So take some time, get comfortable with how you want to strum. Make sure before you sit down you're really checking those points. Once again, nut on the knuckle here, tucked into your elbow or somewhere along your forearm, hitting those strings right about the 12th fret where the body hits the neck here, and nice and snug up against your own body, your torso there. All right? So have some fun with that. Get comfortable, and then I'll post a couple more tutorials that get into the logistics and the specific patterns of strumming our ukuleles together. See you there.